call the meeting to order. We look at the minutes of the past meeting, February. I have a motion to accept.
I make a motion.
Second,
A second.
are there any corrections, additions, deletions? I had just one little, down in the 6, Sharon is working on it, it's just a typo.
Oh, yes.
Not that it makes any difference, but,
Yeah, well, that's what you get when you put a science teacher in charge of making minutes.
yeah. But,
I'll do better proofreading next time.
no, that's fine, I think the minutes are excellent, Barbara. What a good job she's
Thank
doing.
you.
Your own stuff.
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The budget review. We could go Saturday. We had a good time with the finance committee. I thought it went very well. I thought the discussions were very good, very thorough. I don't know, we brought up the issue of the funding of the full-time position that so I'm not sure how we're going to address that difference. I talked to the chairman of the finance committee, and he said they would discuss it and see. They cannot make changes in the budget, and any changes that have to be made, of course, have to be made at the town meeting, which is in May. So we can do it from the floor. We can make a motion, or the finance committee itself can make a motion when they present, or they ask them what their opinion, or I forget how the wording is on that. So I think we need to talk about it before May to think about it and see if we want to go. As I said at the meeting, I hate to use the formula grant because we never are sure of how much that's going to be. And some of the other cuts on the other parts of the budget will be coming out of the formula grant to make up that difference. So as we go along, I mean, we're paying for 2 positions already out of the formula grant. So this will be a 3rd position out of the formula grant. And I don't know that we can afford to give up that kind of money. And so we won't. I want you to think about it, and we will come to a conclusion in April before the annual meeting. We will know more maybe then. And whether the town manager will reconsider, we don't know. But there'll be just a lot of discussions going on in the next couple months. So we will talk about it a little more in depth at the April meeting. And so,
I think maybe some of the people in town might think that once we get a full-time position, that the town is paying for it, rather than coming out of our formula grant.
well, that's right. And
Right, people, I think, are probably under the wrong impression.
I think so too. I think you're right, Norma. You know that, and as I mentioned last week, I said it's one of our objectives is to have our positions funded by the town, that our employees be on the town payroll. So, so I think it's something that we really need to look at, and we always have options to go to the town meeting, to the floor, and have people, or one of us, ask the moderator if we can speak to it and that kind of thing. So there are many options so after we decide in April just what we want to do, then we will find the proper process to carry it through.
I myself don't know. If someone is paid under the formula grant, who pays for their health insurance if they're full-time? The town or under the formula grant?
No, it would come through the town.
Oh, that part will come through the town.
Yes, and one of the things that hopefully will all be fleshed out for the next meeting as well is that breakdown of the formula so that we can have a more intelligent discussion with, our request. One of the things that, became clear as the new person came on board this week is that we had the volunteer coordinator budgeted under the formula for 18 hours. The part-time person that we had funding for in our budget was also 18 hours. That's only 36 hours. A full-time position is paid 37.5 hours. So because it's so late in the fiscal year and we're, in the 3rd quarter, there should be plenty of money in, that amount for the town to make up the difference for the remainder of the fiscal year. But our budget's already going to have to be adjusted to make up that difference, because right now it's only 18 and 18. So that already will have to be tweaked a little bit. So we should have how that will impact the formula, if any, for the remainder of this year, because do we, take the amount that had been budgeted for the volunteer coordinator to pay for half the salary for the remainder of the year, or do we let the
Right.
town cover the balance where it's sitting there rather than turning it back to free up the formula for the remainder of this year on the different things that we've been discussing? So there's still some things that we have to flush out with Kevin and Kristen.
But this, half of this position has been on the books for a year and a half now.
Right,
It's not
right,
been filled. So it's not like we're asking for a lot of new monies.
correct.
It's just, it's not we're asking for a full position. Yes, Zoya?
On Norma's question, if they are not a town employee, they are paid by a formula, how are they paying the health insurance if they are not town employees?
Well, half of the salary would be paid through the town as well as the benefits. There's other, and Kristen might be able to speak more to how they do that, because there's different departments that have positions that aren't funded through town funds. They're either funded through a grant. The library has such positions. I believe police and fire have at least one position each that's funded through other funds other than what's allocated through the town budget. So the accounting and treasurer's office, they do have a way to cover that, but the insurance comes under a different account through the town. So it's not like we would be in a unique position compared to other town departments. It would be a unique situation for us, but other departments do have people that are split, so to speak, between one or two different accounts.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, any other questions or suggestions or thoughts on the idea or even about our presentation? No more?
I just heard a lot of positive feedback from folks just saying that they thought everyone, they loved how everybody chimed in, and just from the folks that we have gotten feedback from, just seemed to think very highly of how everybody did, so.
Oh, good. I thought it went very well. I thought it was very, very good, yes.
Carol's here.
And I think
Oh.
the important part was all of us were there.
If you want to get Ken, I told him you two could come in together.
Our two new employees are going to come join us shortly, so I guess they're ready to go.
Just a question,
Yes,
so when you go before the committee, how much do they take into account of what's been discussed? Or is that something that you have to just keep repeating? How do you get that actually into a budget form? Because a lot of us talked about needing staff that's full-time and, considering for the future, the growth in the community and how much more of this center can actually play a role in the town itself. So if it's gonna play a greater role, how do we get it there?
And again, I think
Good
Kevin and Kristen will be able to provide us some guidance there,
Yeah, I
because
think-
I would think going before the selectmen will probably be another step that will be involved, because
That's
usually the
an idea.
selectmen will make a recommendation at town meeting.
Yeah, I
There's
forgot
always a
about the
recommendation
selectmen.
from both the finance committee and the board of selectmen when it comes to budget items. So I would assume any type of amendment or change would have to be proposed to the board of selectmen as well beforehand. So again, that's something we can ask for guidance on.
I thought a lot of interesting comments were made regarding why are there changes, why we're seeing certain things now that we haven't seen before. I often feel that all these things have been present, we never had names for them,
yes.
and maybe we were more reluctant to discuss them. I could give you article after article talking about this whole process and what's happening to people and individuals, and trying to recognize what's happening to our family members, because it can happen at an earlier age.
Yes, that's right. And it's a reality now that used to be few people would talk about, but now it's reality for everybody. And it's so widespread that we all have to be very understanding too of the problems and how to solve, or how to try to solve, or how to address them, I guess, not solve, but to address the issues that are before us. And as you say, they're multiplying because our population is going up, the senior population is going up so fast. And the town as well, they said the town is close to 40,000, I read, when talking about the
Yeah.
fire
Yeah.
people, so fire, not men, fire people. But, yeah, so I don't, are they coming in or?
Yep,
Oh,
they're bringing, Ken was just finishing up some of those packets that,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
you will all be
we're
able to
gonna
take with
get,
you too.
we're gonna get, okay. Okay, we can go on to the gift fund then.
Yeah, I'm curious if you folks, if that type of layout is what you had in mind when you were thinking of those 4 categories. If, I'm just curious if you think that will work. Let me see if I happen to show you one.
I would rather see it this way and spread out more. I think that, to me, it's too tight up at the top. I would rather see it
The other
spread
way
out
it was.
this way. a little.
Okay.
Yeah, landscape, yeah. I think it might be more legible, but, we've had no expenses in January or February.
No,
How about the reimbursements from the Friends?
well, the February program, ended up, was it the Memory Cafe had, a program that was canceled,
Right,
the
yeah.
drumming circle.
You
And I
have that
believe
check, I think, don't you?
Yes, yeah, we still have
To give
that,
that
to
back to
hold.
Sandy, yeah.
So that was going to be the only program expense that we had for February. And then I believe it was the February program.
The drummers program was canceled.
Right.
Oh, that's right, the drummer didn't
Yeah,
come, that's
right.
right, that's right, I had forgotten that,
Yeah.
yes.
So no, with the weather being what it was, we haven't had any expenses.
So we're all caught up to date then, on all
Yeah.
the reimbursements? Well, that's good
Correct,
to know,
yeah.
yeah, out of the
I have a
gift-
question.
yes.
Have we paid the Meals on Wheels as yet? Is it, we have had 6 sessions and no payment have been made to the
No,
Meals-
that just came in, so that will show up on the next, for
So,
March.
For
'Cause-
the 6 sessions that we've had?
Yeah.
They've made the payments?
No, Elder Services billed us. They had to come up with an invoice that
Okay.
they sent. So
And-
they did that last week.
And we are going to be up to date on that.
Right, so you'll see that on the March sheet, that there'll be that expense for the Meals on Wheels.
So will they bill then monthly after this?
I'm not sure if they're gonna do monthly or quarterly.
Okay,
I'm not clear on that, so,
okay.
I like this format.
oh, good.
It's,
Well, I think it's what we had in mind.
yeah.
If,
It's very clear.
yeah. So, yeah, to me, it's very, anybody else have any comments about the gift fund? Did we get the credit card?
That's still in process with accounting.
How long is that gonna take? We've been talking about it for 4 months now.
Yeah, it won't be long to just get it approved. And,
Who has to approve? I guess maybe that's my point. Who has to approve it?
accounting, because it has to go through with the town's federal ID number in lieu of a social security number. You know, we have the town's ID number. So there's just a federal ID that they have to produce along with the application to send in.
How long is that gonna take?
I don't think it would take long.
I mean, it's been 4 months now. It shouldn't take that long.
No, so I should have a report for next month. Hopefully I can
Hopefully
show
you'll have
everybody.
Yeah, call them and find out what's going on, yeah, good, yeah. I see Pat standing out there.
Yep, I
Is
think-
Ken out there too?
Yep, I think they're ready.
Okay,
You want me to wave them in?
yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Is it chatting? Come on in. So I don't know if you wanna just kind of, I could always scooch over here.
Good morning. Good morning, welcome. Right there.
We have all the chairs in here for Walter's
Get you
program
to,
after.
well,
You just grab from
yeah,
if you want.
um,
Sit there, Pat.
we get to meet our newest employees. I'll let you do the honors, Sharon.
All right, well, I think most of you know Patricia Babin, so Pat was a police officer in the town for
30 years?
and we won't have you. She started on the force when she was 12, and and then when she retired, she literally retired from the police force on Friday, and I think started driving the van on Monday. She just went right into driving the van. So she's been a real asset to the office. She's the one who's held down the fort when we've had our staff and board strategic planning workshops, because she worked so closely with Walter on the triad, and was in the office all the time driving the van. She's got a very good feel for the overview of the office, so she was a great candidate for the office support coordinator position. So we had over 100 applicants for that position, and we did our due diligence with interviews, and Christina Anderson, our HR director, reviewed every single application, and Pat just really stood out. So
5'8" doesn't help. Doesn't hurt, you know?
Oh, welcome, Pat. Yes.
And Ken Colon joins us from the Natick Council on Aging. So Natick's lost our gain.
That's right.
And he was in a very similar role with Natick. He was an admin assistant there, as well as they had not only a full-time volunteer coordinator, but an assistant to the volunteer coordinator, which was the role that Ken was in. And we had 269 applications for the
Amazing.
full-time
That's amazing.
position.
That's amazing.
Yes, and again, Christina Anderson went through every single one, and again, did our due diligence. We had some really great applicants, and it was a very, very tough decision. The folks we met with were all great, but just seemed like it was a very natural fit with what Ken had been doing in Natick, and what we hope to have the new position do. So.
Well, we welcome you here.
Thank you.
Why don't we go around and introduce ourselves so he knows who we are? I'm Louise Russell, and I'm the chair, the current chair, yes.
I'm
And
Shashi. I'm the, what am I? In charge of vice. I'm thinking-
you're in charge of vice, yeah, he's vice.
I'm Cliff Gerber.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Barb DePaula. I'm Zoya Mehta.
Good morning, I'm Virginia Leonard.
Nice to meet you.
Norma Gimentaro.
Nice to meet you as well.
No, we have an outstanding board, I think. I'm a little prejudiced but we're very active, and so you'll be hearing from us, I'm sure.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
And I want to welcome our new additions.
Yes. We're glad to have you here, both of you. We were used to seeing Pat around,
Oh, yeah.
so yes. But we welcome both of you here, and we wish you well, and if we can be of any assistance to either one of you, if you have any questions or concerns.
No, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
They are going to be of assistance to us.
Well, I mean, I'm just being polite to say that we can assist. Start off on a good foot before we get into no, I'm just kidding. No, but no, if you have questions about what we do or who we are or any kind of things, that we'd be happy. Any one of us would be happy to talk with you.
All right.
Yeah, so.
I'll just give you a few quick highlights. Cynthia wrote a grant for her and for Pat to go down to Atlanta, like she and Donna did a few years ago.
Oh,
So
nice.
Pat's going to be getting more training with the RouteMatch software that we utilize.
Oh, good.
And she's used to seeing it on the driver end, so now that she's kind of like in the back end, behind the scenes, she's getting a very good feel for the software. And actually, you said it's kind of similar to some software used at the police department.
Oh, good.
So the big push for the software currently is that they're making a mobile app. And hopefully that will enable people that want to just make trip requests right from their phone. Or perhaps a computer. So Cynthia and Pat are very interested to see where that might be able to take us as far as
good.
taking scheduling and transportation to the next level for, again, the younger folks are looking for apps
The
and
young seniors, we call them.
yeah.
Yes, Zoya.
Can I have a request for you? Would
Sure.
you be able to have a volunteer handbook out for all the volunteers here?
In Natick, I did help create a volunteer handbook, so that's
If you
something
could do
that
that
will
would
be
be-
on my.
Yeah, if you
Oh,
could do that,
wonderful.
because we really need one.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been
That's
working
terrific.
on what the goals will be for like Ken and Pat's first 100 days. You know, when you have new people, what are you going to accomplish in the first 100 days, and then the first 6 months. So Ken's already been making a list, and then we'll be narrowing it down to a handful of things that he'll be focusing on for the next 100 days. But yeah, volunteer handbook's at the top of the list. That's one of the first
Good.
things he asked about.
Yes, that's
So,
good.
and he's already done a few volunteer interviews, and
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
yeah, they both hit the ground running. So
Volunteer training, and
Yep.
that's one of the things we've been talking about, is training the volunteers and getting everybody on the same page.
Yep.
Which sometimes we have difficulty. It doesn't always work that way, so we're,
Yeah.
one of our objectives.
Yeah, everybody should have the same, should go through the same process, should understand exactly what their purpose is, what their requirements are,
Right.
what everybody here does as well. Because if everybody's on the same page, it's only gonna just be
that's-
streamlined.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping for, that we've talked about several times in our discussions of that strategic plan and all that other, so, well, that'd be great. We're so happy that you're here. It's gonna be wonderful, I think, and Pat as well, quite two great additions to our senior center. And we thank you very much.
perfect timing.
Oh, and
Thank you.
good timing.
Planned that.
And we can switch seats now.
All right.
Thank
So-
you for coming in.
No problem.
Thank you both.
Yes,
I look
look forward to working with you, yes.
So I have your little placard here. Scoot in. Thank you both.
Oh, you're welcome.
Alrighty.
So we don't have a formula grant or revolving grant. The status of the funds we will put aside for right now. And we can move on to the strategic plan, since Kristen is here to talk with us. I think we need our calendars too, don't we?
I think so. So we got off track a little bit just because of illness and weather and things like that. So I think the main goal for today is just to reschedule our next working session so then we can be on track to do some last minute work to get the plan into final form. I know that Sharon and I and Kevin have reviewed some comments that came from Louise and Shashi, which I think may have had some other people's comments in it. Am I correct in
No, I
that, or
think
was
it's-
just the two of your comments?
The what? What we talked about?
We had a very detailed response.
We did. We've had two things that we sent to Shashi made out that we both discussed it first, and then he sent
I was the scribe.
you
So-
were the scribe, yeah.
I reviewed those comments with Kevin and Sharon, and then we received kind of an outline from Shashi. So if anybody wants to send us any more of their comments before we have the workshop, that would probably be helpful and most constructive, and then we can gauge our agenda off of those comments. But I think the main goal today is to, our plan was to adopt the plan today, but we haven't had that work session, so the goal today would just be to schedule the next working session in order to talk about the public forums and wrap things up. So unless anybody else had any other thoughts.
Anybody else have anything before we set some dates? Any other comments or? Okay, let's see if we can set a date. Today's the 13th.
And I'll just let you know, I am on vacation the 22nd through the 27th. And would prefer not to meet the 21st or the 28th, just because I'm wrapping things up in my office to try to get out and get back.
So that leaves us the 18th, 19th, and 20th next week. Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, do any of those days? Tuesday afternoon is a Friends program.
And we would want the staff to participate if they can, correct, did you guys meet offline? Were you meeting offline after the public forums? Did I hear that correctly?
We were going to, but we
You never
we
did?
weren't able
Okay,
to.
okay,
right?
thank you.
I think we got snowed out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So So Kristen, when you're on vacation, what days?
I'm away the 22nd through the 27th. I could do the 20th at 9:30.
Wednesday morning?
I am totally booked that day at work, so, I mean, I have
Okay.
advanced things that I have to do, so.
Or
I am not, I can't be here at all.
Or
I couldn't
Fridays
even
not-
call in if I wanted to.
are Fridays not good for people?
Fridays are okay for me.
Friday,
Fridays are not good for me.
Not good for you, Zoya?
No.
The 18th, Monday?
I
No,
can't
for
do
me.
anything on Monday.
I can't do Monday either.
No?
The 20th was okay for me.
20th's okay with me.
And I think, off the top of my head, I believe this room would be free. We have proofreading at 11:30 next Wednesday.
Wednesday at 11:30.
11:30. But the room should be free up until proofreading, I believe.
Unless there's something else scheduled, I mean, I don't know.
I don't believe so. But, I mean, we could probably always book something
9:30
at
to
all if we
11:30,
had
or
to.
9 to 11, or?
I have a meeting that goes from 8:30 to 9:30, so I can be over here shortly after 9:30.
What date are we talking about now?
Wednesday, the
A week from
20th.
today. So it'd be before proofreading if we did that.
Wednesday the 20th, am I looking at the wrong calendar?
You have
So-
April, so we're looking in March still.
Oh. I'm rushing things.
Anybody else free on the 20th?
Yeah.
Yep.
Joya?
Yes.
So what time?
I'm sorry.
I mean, the only thing I can think of doing is maybe I can somehow make some time to meet with Sharon, just go over what it is, and I'll
Oh,
give
that
my
would be,
comments
that
that way.
would be, that would be
Okay.
great,
That would be great.
yes.
So what time now are we talking about?
9:30,
9:30.
9:30 to 11:30.
So Ken can post that up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm practicing on that.
Yeah, he had a dry run both Monday and yesterday,
Great.
once with me and once with Walter. I just gotta get him on Civics Plus so
And-
that we can post it.
Now,
up
all
there,
the
too.
staff isn't in on Wednesday. Who's not in?
Just Donna. So she probably would be able, well, I'll check with her and see if she has the availability, but everybody else would be here,
Okay.
except Donna.
Okay,
So I'll check and see. But this time we might actually have to see if Valerie or somebody might be able to cover, because Pat always covered for us,
Okay.
or she would actually be in the meeting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who we would have cover.
that's why she and Ken will both be here.
Right.
Their introduction to our process.
So we might have to figure that piece out.
Okay.
Are you going to send us out something beforehand, Kristen?
Well, I don't have anything new right now based upon what we sent out back in.
I mean, your reactions to what we sent?
I can definitely send some comments on the reactions to what you and Shashi sent. Sure, I can do that.
Think that would be helpful?
Well, let me ask you this.
Yep.
Do you have an agenda of what we're trying to accomplish on the 20th?
Yes,
In
to
other words,
finalize the
Do
document.
you, I'm sorry?
To discuss the public forums and finalize the document.
No. Luis and I came up with a list of comments.
Yep. And I have those comments and I have my reactions to those comments.
Right, but are you going to give us a updated version, or if you accept a comment,
Yep.
then there's no need to discuss it. But on the other hand, if you have a difference of opinion from what
Yep.
we're saying, then we need to discuss it. So
Right.
are we going to do that? Are you going to have a revised version of your
Sure.
document?
Yep, I can have that by Monday.
And we also sent out an proposed outline,
Right.
suggestion.
Yep.
That's also going to be discussed.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I have that right here.
Okay. So the rest of the board, I think,
Should
needs
have.
an updated version
Yep.
plus.
Did the entire board see your comments and the strategic plan outline?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Okay, so we need to get that out to everybody first. I think that's appropriate, so they can see what was suggested and then see my reactions to the suggestions. I think that's fair.
not to try to push you, but
That's okay.
if there was a way to get that either by Friday or something so that I could review and then make an appointment, probably on Monday, we can make some time to
That would
come in and
work.
catch you.
So
Okay.
I'm not sure if I can get you my reactions by Friday, just based upon my schedule, but I'll do my best to give Sharon my handwritten comments.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, that's good, yeah.
okay.
So that everybody will know what we're talking about, what Shashi and I have talked about to present. And there's a lot of things we need to look at. I don't know that 2 hours is going to be enough for our discussions, but we will see. We'll
Well, I
see how
think
it
that,
goes.
I think that if we have to have another working session, I'd be okay with that. I think any meetings that go over 2 hours stop being as productive as,
No,
I like
I
them to
understand,
be,
I
so-
understand that. I just say I don't wanna cut any kind of discussion
yeah,
short.
sure.
I want everybody to have a chance to work, to express what they
Yep.
feel or their own ideas or suggestions
Sure.
on what we're doing.
Yep.
So I think that's important, that we not limit, so when you say that we're gonna finalize,
That's my goal. So, right, so my goal can be different than everybody else's goal.
yeah, okay, just so we understand.
Sure.
That's what we're, I'm not sure that's going to happen, but it may not.
Sure.
Depending on what everybody feels, when you get the materials and go through them and see how you feel about what's been said and done, and then on the 20th, we'll go from there. That sounds good. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Shashi?
Is everyone here, if I were to email the comments, it's in Microsoft Word, you know, the review feature? I use review and I inserted comments. Is that okay? Not for you, but.
I was gonna say,
No
even in
comment.
that, that might be tricky either way for Norma, cause even if I was to print it in that, it's so teeny tiny to see, it might be.
We might be
You
able
may
to
have
print
to-
Norma 11 by 17 or
Yeah,
legal size
11 by
or something.
17
Yeah,
sheets.
it's true.
Yep.
That might make it a little easier.
Yep.
Just because the comment panes are really teeny tiny.
So how am I gonna get it? What's happening?
We'll have to make a hard copy for you, but I'm just trying to figure out how the print can be bigger.
Oh.
Cause it's different, viewing it in the computer.
Right.
It's easier to read, but when you print it out, it comes out really, really small.
Got a good
I'll
magnifying
get the
glass?
magnifying.
Print it larger for you.
I have a couple of them,
Sherlock
yes. Right, depending on where I'm working, I have a good, yes. Anything else? No?
I'll see you all in a week. And I'll get this out
Next
Friday
Wednesday?
or Monday at the latest for you.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank
Great,
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Kristen,
All right,
very
have a
much.
good day, everybody.
Thank you.
So next Wednesday morning, we'll be here again at 9:30, so, yeah, I hope you have time to go through the stuff that you get, so that when we get together on Wednesday, we'll all be on the same page here, with all the same knowledge.
I'm gonna have a long day Wednesday, 2 hours here and then another 2 hours
Yeah.
right after.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, proofreading follows, yeah.
But I think you both made some really good comments and observations that I think are good for, very good discussion points.
Well, that's what I think, and personally, I think it'll be mostly a discussion session, but we'll see how it goes, and maybe we can come to some consensus. It'll just depend on how you feel about what we're talking about, so. Okay, very good.
Well, what's the timeline for the strategic plan? Is there an expectation that should be done by May 1st? I mean, is there a date that this should be completed?
Kristen hoped it was gonna be done today. She had hoped to vote
Well,
today to
but
finalize.
irrespective of
Right,
snowstorms, et cetera, that impacted
yeah.
the process, what are the expectations? Like, is there a drop dead date that
I
this
don't-
should be done?
Personally, I don't think so. I don't want to have a final date until we are comfortable with what the wording says. And right now, I don't know how many of us are really comfortable in the way this
Well,
is
right,
being
but I-
put
but I think-
forward.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, if there is not a date that you feel like you want to get this completed, there's just gonna be endless discussion.
No, I understand that. And I'm hoping by probably May or June. I think a couple more months of really good discussions and trying to come to some consensus. I think in another couple of months, I think we should be able to. Shashi?
There are really two issues here. One is we have to get the strategic plan done in a timely fashion. On the other hand, we cannot sacrifice quality for the sake of schedule. Because it's got to be a meaty document. It's got to be meaningful. It's got to have all the backup documents in place. The selectmen are going to be seeing this. We're going to make it available to the public. Cannot have something that's looked half-baked, look amateurish. We can't do that.
Which I felt with the presentation, that there was no real information given out. I mean, it was just a rough outline. And I thought at the presentation, when people were there, that there wasn't a whole lot that they really got out. There were a lot of suggestions and questions I heard afterward, you know, well, who's gonna do it, and how you gonna do it, and what's gonna happen here, and those kind of things. And I said, those things haven't been done yet. It is nowhere near complete. And when Kristen says complete document, I think she's talking about an outline. None of the details have been done yet. We're just perfecting or finalizing an outline of what we hope to do. The details are nowhere. We haven't even begun to talk about details on who and what and when and how. So
Those action steps.
yeah, and those are the those are the action steps, and when that's going to get done.
I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but it's like, and not to talk about what I do at work, but, you know, we had a major task to do in doing our community benefits analysis. You have no idea how extensive that is. That actually has to be put online, and it also goes to the OIG. So you have a lot of these things that you have to do, so they have to be pretty good. But we have deadlines, and I think if you give yourself a deadline, you get more concise. So that's my only thing that I'm saying, is that I think if you start to have a deadline in place, it will keep us from spending too much time in hyperbole getting off track.
Yes.
It seems like we zero in and then just spend a lot of time just going over little small points and not just getting to the heart. I mean, start finding what are the key points and then prioritize. Otherwise, I mean, this will be going on, you'll be here next year and you won't have done it.
Shashi?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I agree with you. But you cannot sacrifice content for the sake of schedule. Can't do that. There has to be a balance between the two. And one of the biggest things that we have, the problems that we have, is the what should we call it, the action plan. Action plans, we don't have a clue as to how to develop an action plan. Give an outline for an action plan. Schedule, budget, resources, how are we going to get the money? How long, what if we do if we don't get the money? How long? There's a lot of detail in it.
Yes, but if we at least get, I'm
wait,
sorry,
wait,
if we at least get to
excuse
the point of having that outline done, then you can get the support. I mean, sure, there's support that we all can get to all those next steps between budget, et cetera, and they'll flow back in.
Yeah. Cliff?
Yeah, you know, this has been going on for so long.
2 years.
You know, and it feels often like we're just spinning wheels.
Yes.
So I think we do need to set a deadline, and in doing that, we have to set it realistically, not just grab something out of the air and say we're gonna be done by this date, but with what we feel needs to be done, when can we realistically say it's
get it
going to
done.
be done? And then, because, you know,
Yeah.
we've just been, there's been a lot of wheel spinning here.
Oh, we
And
have.
It's kinda driving, I think, all of us a little crazy.
And I think that's the bottom line. I think we're getting burned out because we spent 1.5 years spinning our wheels, and which was, you know, and but I think if Kristen's goal is just the outline, we probably could have that done by May or June. If we can come to that. All the rest of the stuff is gonna take us into next year. Fiscal year, I'm talking.
Yes.
I said as a teacher, I always do. September to June is a year.
I guess the other question I have is, what, you know, you get the outline in place. Then you have all these other components that are part of it. can you just start separating us and identify groups that possibly can work together on those different components, so that then you're coming back. But I think if we have to
No,
keep doing things en masse,
It's-
it's almost easier if you know what your goals are, and what are the addenda that are coming back that support. Because you're right, you're gonna go in front of selectmen and they're business people, and they're gonna have all these expectations, just like the questions that came up at that financial meeting. But and certainly those are good questions, and they were easy enough to answer, but you wanna have supporting data.
Well, we need a marketing plan, we need an
Action
action
plan.
plan,
Schedules,
schedules.
funding.
So, I mean, we could have subcommittees, there's no question, and that might be the way to go. I said, and I think the first thing is to do this, what we're working with Kristen. So I don't know if you wanna set June as the absolute deadline, or May
For the outline.
for the outline.
I think that time frame also works in your favor as far as the natural flow of things with the fiscal year. Because with the new fiscal year, FY20, starting in July, having it finalized in May or June, like you said, just kind of flows naturally right into, having this living document to start working off of come the new fiscal year in July.
And,
I will just make a comment that when you have a date and a goal, you get pretty clear. I mean, you start realizing that you have to get your eggs in a basket
Yes.
and get it done. And you're not trying to sacrifice quality at all. But I think that when you set a date, it means that it's a reality, and let's start looking at it and come to an agreement. And again, it's an outline, so it's not all the other factors. It's get the outline done.
just the outline. I think we all would feel better if we could at least conclude one part of it. We've been, as I say, spinning our wheels for a couple of years, and it's just, gone on and on and on.
I mean, you'll be missing your targets, not even your targets. Some of the things you want to put in place, possibly it's gonna be too late even to start thinking about those things.
Can I then make
Yes.
make a recommendation?
Yes,
At our next workshop, why don't we put it on an agenda, why don't we put it on the agenda to come up with a bunch of milestones? Complete the first draft,
Yeah.
yes,
do this, just the milestones,
that'd be great.
without the detail.
I think you're right.
Without a detailed
I think we
schedule.
need to do that.
Kristen might be able to help us with that, as far as coming up with, what are the major milestones we have to meet?
Well, all these things that we have to do,
Right,
we
No,
have to,
but again, like you're saying,
yeah, this is what
just
we do, yeah.
bullets, like what are they? And then, it makes it all clear.
That's what we
because-
have to identify, what they are.
Right.
And then, yeah. Why don't you put a list together?
Well, it's really not even all that different from what
No.
we're doing now with Ken and Pat, narrowing down all the things we were hoping to shift to
Right.
them or change, and then figuring out, again, what's realistic in the next 100 days, next 6 months, and then obviously then it'll be tying into whatever our strategic plan is, and their goals will be tied into, is it a year one goal, year two, or whatever. So I think, if you have some type of list or whatever, it'll be easy to pick off, within the next, quarter or 100 days or whatever of the strategic plan, we'll be able to get these out of the way easy, or we'll put this on the back burner, this is more important. Yeah.
Yes,
see, the other thing is that once we have an outline in place, that's one of the things I created that little.
that's right, he
outline,
created
is
a
that
nice
we can
outline.
then farm it out to different people.
Right,
So a lot of stuff can be done in parallel.
right.
I think when you see the things that Shashi came up with in the comments, I think you will be, it's a good direction in which to go, I think we will feel that way, and, yes, Barbara?
When can we expect to see what Sashi has done?
She said Monday, I think Kristen said Monday?
I think she said she was gonna hope to have her reaction, or her response rather, to Shashi and Louise's document. I think what Shashi was saying is he'll send out what he prepared, and
Oh,
then
okay, okay.
Kristen will follow up with you
So
know,
when are you
she'll put
gonna-
her response in
When are you
writing.
gonna send that out?
Is this a tight schedule here? I'll send it out as soon as I can, probably tonight.
Okay,
That'd be good,
all
yes.
right.
And then I'll fiddle around with the format for Norma so she can read it.
11 by 17 should be okay for her.
Yeah, that might be the best way to,
And then, say, when, you can go with the outline first, and then when you get Kristen's response to it, which I'm anxious to see too, we haven't seen any of that yet, we haven't received. It's been, what, three weeks?
Something
Yeah,
like
so,
that,
you know, we're anxious to see what,
yeah,
What
she's
kind of
been so
reaction?
tied up with the finance committee stuff, so.
and I don't know that, have you made any comments on it, or? We sent it to both Sharon and Kristen, so.
Mostly, I was just trying to pick out things that, again, could tie into what I know is happening in other departments, whether it's something that I know is on the library strategic plan, or again, collaboration points or things we might be able to accentuate there.
So if you have any comments, maybe you can send us your comments as well.
Okay.
Which would be helpful too, so we know, so we all come together knowing,
So what Sashi did was create an outline
yes.
of what?
Well, there are
There were
two
There were
documents.
two documents.
One is a Word document of the material that Kristen and Sharon sent out.
All right,
And what I did was I inserted comments using Microsoft's review feature, which makes the things very tiny. Tiny, print is very, very, when you insert a comment. Then I said, these two documents that they sent out are really part of a much bigger document. So I created an outline, roughly, proposed outline, of what I thought the final strategic plan might look like, and identified all the pieces, and said, this piece goes in here, this piece goes in here, the two documents that were sent out. So I will send you my outline also.
okay, thanks.
Yeah,
Make sense?
yes. I thought it was excellent. You know, it gives us a guideline, and I think it's what we've been missing. We've been kind of all over the place for the last couple of years. Kristen has helped us starting in the fall, but I think we were so far on the other side, and for her to bring us back into some kind of structure, which we didn't have for the year and a half or so that we were doing the other stuff, so I think it's, you know, you missed all that fun, Virginia. Norma will tell you how much fun it was, right? Oh, any other questions or suggestions or comments about the strategic plan? And okay, well, we'll have a lot of reading to do before next Wednesday morning, and you will talk with Sharon when you get your. That's good. Thank you, Virginia, for doing that. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Do we have the driver's survey?
No, and actually, I'm going to be amending the data we have, because now that we have 2 new drivers coming on board, we've asked for their input too, as far as what they would like to see as far as our driver meetings and things like that. So Pat is working with me to just kind of add what's been added since, you know, we initially asked the drivers for their feedback. Because we had 1 driver leave, we have the 2 that are coming on board that we basically got their input from too. So we'll be adding that in.
When are we gonna get that?
I think Pat will have it wrapped up in the next week, because that's one of the things that I told her is outstanding.
Can you
that we
send it
really-
out to us as soon as it's finished?
Yeah, because that way, ideally, it'd be good to have it for the workshop. So if there's any transportation specific things, you'll have the driver's input too that we can pull in.
That'd be great,
Yeah, okay.
Do we have a report from we haven't gotten anything
I-
since November.
I have,
Doesn't Cynthia give a monthly report to Worcester?
oh yeah, and I have.
Can we get that information?
In fact, I have all of her reports. I just have to input them into that format that we had come up with. Because when I had shared these formats with you folks before, I know they're hard to tease that data out of. But she is up to date with all of the stats. I just have to input everything into that format that you see.
Yeah, but this goes back to November. I
So,
mean, we've been almost 6 months without any kind of information about the transport, as well as the others.
There isn't any simpler way to get that data imported or translated into what the reports are? I mean,
well, that's one of the things that we actually will be getting some input from Ken on. He actually had a certification in Excel.
Okay,
And where these are all done in Excel spreadsheets, as well as the report that I give to you folks, he might be able a way to create formulas to just plug it into that simpler report that I've been giving you folks. So it'll extract, we might be able to set it up as such that it will just extract the data and put it so that I'm not having to manually go in and basically
That's it, yeah.
create another report from Cynthia's report. So we're using the same data, but we're creating two sets of reports. But we do have all the stats up to date, just not in the format that you folks
We
have
just
found
don't have
helpful.
them.
Right.
Joshie?
Going back to the vans, last week I saw one of the vans leave on a flatbed. Is it broken?
That was that was actually one of the RTA vans. It was not our van, and it was a loaner van. Our van from the RTA had been in for what they call a PM, a periodic maintenance, and the loaner that they gave us wouldn't start in the cold. So they had to bring us another loaner and take back their loaner until they fixed our van.
No,
But-
the reason I asked.
But that's an RTA thing, that wasn't our
The
van.
reason I asked is because when you said we're getting 2 more drivers, I was wondering whether we had enough vans to go.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do, and, well, I was gonna say, do you want me to, kinda jump into van stuff? Cause we do have some exciting
Sure.
van news.
Sure, transportation, yeah.
So yesterday, we got the call that they're making our van,
Oh, good.
and, they think it might be ready as soon as June.
Oh, my.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes,
Oh.
so, now it's just a matter of finalizing, they did send out that list of options of what, we can add that would be extra, that's not included in the DOT contract. And so now really the only thing, the contract thankfully was very, very comprehensive, pretty much everything that the drivers wanted is there. The exception, it comes out to be about $2,200 worth of options. The two big options that the drivers would like to see that we think would be a good idea is the backup camera that does not come standard, and that's an extra $700, as well as a better seat that the driver's seat to make it more adjustable. The drivers have complained, like the RTA buses, the seats get very hot, particularly in the summer. So this is more of like a captain's chair with a lot of lumbar support and so on, and that's a $1,500 upgrade. So between the $1,500 for the seat and the $700 for the backup camera, so far it looks like it'll just be another $2,200 that we'll have to come up with in addition to our 20%, which was the $13,000.
Did we get that all right, the 13,000, did that?
That's still in process too, but that was one of the things the
We
donor.
had a donor,
Yeah, so that is still,
could that be, does 2,200 be included with that?
I believe so, but we're running that by.
The donor had made an offer that was more than the
The
1,300.
20%.
Wonderful.
13,000.
So, yeah, the 13,000, yeah,
Yeah.
so I think, if we could include this with that, and still under what he had made an offer for.
Correct.
So I think maybe we can do that, yes.
While we're on the subject of driving, somebody referred to route match before.
Yes.
I was wondering whether we are still looking at alternatives for route match. How do the drivers feel about route match? Any comment?
As far as the schedules, I think there's different things that they'd like to see in the scheduling. As far as one of the big things, just for example, that came up in that survey was that they want to make sure that they're collecting the correct fare from the person, and sometimes the fare part of route match can be glitchy, and the price won't print out, and Cynthia will have to go and write it in, and then that could be very time consuming. Or it will, for some reason, put down the wrong fare, and then again, that's taking up Cynthia's time to go through and double check all the fares. So having it either in a different place or making sure that that's coming up more accurately. There's also a feature in Route Match, but when we tried printing it, it doesn't display the way we'd like for like a comment section. So if, you know, a driver's taking somebody that they haven't taken before, and we want to make sure we know, say, the person's going to come out the back door, or, you know, the person has a fold-up walker or something. Right now, that comment doesn't display right on the schedules, even though we put it into the system and it shows up in the route match system. It doesn't display on the schedule properly. So again, that's more stuff that Cynthia's, you know, having to write in to alert the driver to those things. So just more information that they need when interacting with the passenger, making sure they have that information, is something we're hoping, you know, can change in that format schedule that they have. We do have a few drivers that are eager to start using the tablets, but we have others that are more reluctant and are hoping, you know, well, can we use the tablets and work out the glitches and then I can work with it? And unfortunately, it's like an all or nothing deal. We have to convert to the tablets or just keep using paper for now. So we'll see how that turns out.
I have another question.
Yes.
Would it be possible to have somebody from Route Match as our point of contact who would come here and work with us, work with the drivers, rather than Cynthia trying to, you know, shotgun the whole thing and try to fix it? Whereas there are people out there who are, you know, support, who can, you know, we need tech support from Route Match.
The answer is yes, you can, but it costs money. It's not part of their regular service contract, so to speak. They can come out at any time and do trainings or troubleshooting, but it's very expensive to pay for, because they're based out of Atlanta.
What does
So
it cost?
the flat rate is $3,500, and you have to pay for their airfare, lodging, and meals.
They can't do anything by Skype?
They do have like webinar options, and yes, that right now that's the biggest thing. They have Virginia's probably familiar with it. They have that GoToMeeting
Yeah.
option, so they can, like, we call it taking over your computer,
Yeah.
and they can see what you're seeing. And right now, that's the biggest way that Cynthia troubleshoots things with them. If it's doing something wacky, she'll do a GoToMeeting, and
And they can't figure it out?
the formatting, no, they've tried a few different things with their tech people. A few times they've blamed us and they've said it's our printers. IT's looked at it and said that's not true. It's clearly their software.
So is there something, I mean, do they need an update or something on the software?
Are they the only show in town?
That's
I mean,
right,
is there
yeah.
somebody else we can?
They're
look
the
at?
most affordable for our size. We've looked at what Worcester has. Worcester has a much bigger program, but it's also a lot more expensive. And it's designed to do multi-facets of the transportation. So it's for the fixed bus routes, the big city bus runs, as well as the paratransit with the smaller vans. So it's way more than what we would need. So as far as having a small operation, we've got basically the most affordable and useful as what we can have.
So the senior centers in Worcester use the same software package that the major transit system uses?
Correct. So we learned about Route Match from SCM Elderbus that does all of the transportation in the lower part of Worcester County. And they have a 16 van fleet. And it's worked pretty well for them. Cynthia also does some troubleshooting with them, and usually any issues we're having, they usually have the same issues. So sometimes they figure out a workaround,
So,
but
I'm curious, how do the Worcester senior centers afford a deeper package then? Or are they just getting a break because they're part of the town of Worcester, city?
it's the latter. They're part of that mobility management model. So Worcester is doing all of their scheduling. And
Okay.
people have to call into Worcester for their trips. So it's under that one big umbrella.
It just seems like this is a really glitchy system
Yeah,
and a little frustrating that there isn't
it
somebody
is. We've
else to
talked
look
about
at
this,
that
yeah.
you could.
Last fall, I thought somebody was gonna look into looking at different things to see if there was not something else available for smaller, you know.
Well, since Ken just came from Natick, doesn't Natick have a different system? Are they
Um,
using,
They're under, I believe from what he had told me that they're covered under what they call the RIDE, which is under that Metro West system. So they dealt with their vans as well, but they weren't doing their own scheduling like we are.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, is there some value to no longer doing that scheduling? I mean, if you have other larger cities doing this, and it meant that you would have a better system, and I'm not trying to take anything away from anyone that's doing
No.
it, but it seems that if you want to expand and grow, you can't if you're still doing a lot of manual entries.
Yes. And that's the problem, as our,
Yeah.
if we get a fourth van, it's gonna be even more, you know.
And this is where it gets tricky because if we were to join the mobility management model, they would only do the scheduling for their own vehicles. So they would only do the scheduling for those 2 RTA vehicles. The ones that we operate independently, they wouldn't be doing scheduling
You
for.
can't like pay them something just to do
I
that
don't
part.
know. I mean, that,
Pay
I
them to do it, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I suppose that's something in where we have transportation as one of the things that's outlined in our strategic plan. It was probably 5 years ago now that the then assistant to the town manager, Tom Gregory, did a study with Kristen when she was still the town planner on the pros and cons of joining the mobility management model versus staying independent. And at that time, there were more pros to staying independent. We may want to plug into the strategic plan that process be repeated,
Yeah.
or that it's periodically evaluated, every 3 years or something like that, just to make sure it's still
right.
meeting our
Yeah.
needs and
I
still
mean,
the best option available.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's time we try to do something, as Cliff said, you know, it's been going on for such a long time, you know, and it just doesn't seem to be any, and we're paying a lot of money. I mean, it's not like, you know, it's a free that, you know,
Right.
we're doing it because it's free, it's not.
You know, but again, you're talking about the points in your strategic plan. If you're not addressing these issues,
That's
you
right.
don't ever grow. Because you can't always rely on this one person to do all these things. And it seems, it is 2020.
Yeah.
19, I'm sorry. We're getting to 2020,
Yeah.
you know, you should be looking at these.
Yeah. Yes, Barbara?
At the beginning of the discussion, somebody mentioned an app. So we are having trouble doing the scheduling because we can't add details, specific details. Is that the real problem? Or is it the scheduling of when you're gonna pick the person up?
I would say the biggest problem is the issue with the times, which I think, we've talked about before. The software is very much like a GPS,
Okay.
except you know how if you're going somewhere with an app, for example, some of them are more accurate than others. And that's one of the things that we've complained about to Route Match before is that the time that they allocate for some of the trips is, by the way, the crow flies. One of the examples I've used that's been two that I've used, one on the short side and one on the long side, that are very frustrating, is we all know how long it would take to get from here to UMass. Route Match said we can get there in 2 minutes. Now, I wouldn't care if it was 3 o'clock in the morning and you had all green lights. There's no way you can make it from here to UMass in 2 minutes.
No.
But Route Match says, but it's only 1.2 miles or whatever it is. And it's like,
They don't
yes,
take into
but,
account speed limit on a regular street.
but it's like, but you simply cannot get from here to there. The other one that I actually got in an argument with one of the programmers at Route Match was about Fairlawn Rehab. It thinks you can get from here to Fairlawn Rehab in 20 minutes.
Oh, I'd like to try that.
Exactly. And I said, you
No.
simply
Not
cannot
even,
get
not even.
to Fairlawn Rehab in much less than 40 minutes during the time of day that we travel. And the person at Route Match was saying, that's ridiculous. I'm looking at it right now. It is 6 miles away from the senior center to Route Match, or to Fairlawn. So Route Match is saying it's 6 miles. There's no way it takes 40 minutes to go 6 miles.
Was it in the Sahara Desert?
And I said, but it is. I said, you simply, and he was like, it'd be quicker to walk there. I said, it probably is.
So,
But because of where it's,
they don't take into account the fact that this is, you're in a city with
I think
traffic,
that's, I think
and
that's
there's
the
lights.
problem.
I mean, there's lights, even if, like you said, to get there, even if every single light was green,
Mm-hmm.
I still defy you to get there in 20 minutes.
exactly.
so
I think that's
they don't collect data, as to real times it's gonna take? And then what about this app? When are we gonna get the app, or this app you can plug in when you wanna be picked up? But that doesn't really have anything to do with Route Match on doing incorrect estimates.
Right. It'll be more for making it more user friendly for the riders, and
Right.
so that they don't have to call in if they have this. It'll be easier.
It's just a way to make an appointment. It's
Right.
the same, like, it's like getting an Uber ride, it's
Yeah.
just, you go in and you select a time,
Yeah.
and you're,
Yes,
so
but
you're.
that doesn't solve our problem with
No.
Route Match not doing a good estimate of.
So
No,
so
I think we gotta
Yeah.
move on here.
But just to wrap up, so the big thing that it does with the times that is problematic is, so you have a trip to Fairlawn, you have to override it by 20 minutes.
Right,
What ideally the program would do is cascade all the times then and adjust them all by 20 minutes. It doesn't.
oh,
So anytime Cynthia has to go in and manually override one of those times,
right.
she has to go through and adjust all the corresponding
There's
times.
got to be something
That
better
is
than that.
Yeah.
terrible.
There's got
Yeah.
to be something better
Yeah.
someplace. Maybe we'll put Ken on it and have him
Yeah.
find out a place someplace that's better, because, I mean, we went through this 6 months ago, we
Right.
talked, we had a discussion, and I thought somebody was gonna look into it, but apparently it hasn't happened, so let's try again to have somebody look into finding this. I mean, this is ridiculous, it's been going on for years now. And to continue to do the same thing over and over again it doesn't make sense. When you know something's broken, you don't keep repeating it, you know. So I think we need to work smarter right here, and I mean, for the sake of everybody, for the riders, and especially if we're looking to get a fourth van.
Right.
I mean, it's gonna just exacerbate the whole thing, so I think now is the time to find something that's gonna work without all this extra stuff, so we'll put that on the front burner, not the
Yeah.
back burner this time. So, okay, thank you. The outreach, we have Walter's report as usual. He always does a good job. Although he had a different format this time, unless I printed out something that, this is what I got.
That's the first page of the worksheet. So that's to show you the comparisons for,
Oh, I missed something.
but yeah, you can take this. So this is
Well,
the,
this is what my question was, these figures. Is this for the month of February
Correct.
only?
yep,
And these figures are all just February?
correct. So you
Okay,
can
thank
see
you.
from, that was something that Cliff had suggested that might be helpful, is kind of a snapshot of the month, so that you don't have to flip back and forth. So the one,
Okay.
the
I'll
one
go back
tab
and look
is
at- I'll go back
for
and look it
the
up
month,
then.
and then the other tab is for the year. So you can see how we're trending so far for the year.
Well, I
And
know, yeah, it's really,
so there was just two other things that Walter just wanted me to fill you in on. One is, unfortunately, the fuel assistance applications are still very, very far behind. I think last month they were still only just working on the November applications. They've since finished the November applications, and now they're on December. So Walter's dealt with a lot of people that have just been in crisis and trying to figure out how they're gonna cover their fuel expenses and so on until it comes through. There's also, for some reason, some type of issue that has happened with Eversource, where the fuel assistance credit hasn't gone through, and people have had issues with their Eversource bill. So it's been a very interesting home heating season. So one of the things, on Friday, we actually have a meeting with Kevin and Kristen in Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services, which I'll talk about in a second. But we'll be talking about the next home heating meeting, because there will be a lot to review this year where there were so many issues with the fuel assistance
who
problem.
goes through those applications?
It's an agency called SMOC, the Southern Middlesex Opportunity Council. Worcester is under, I'm forgetting their acronym, but we're grouped under Framingham. So but it's a federal thing. They're all behind because of that delay with the federal government. So
Because of the shutdown?
Did they not apply early enough? Is that the problem?
no, it had to do with what happened on the federal level. So
Because I had no problem. I applied really early and I got the answer just like that.
and you were a new applicant or a re-app? Yeah, the re-apps went through fine. It's the new,
all right,
New ones,
okay.
yeah.
yeah, all the
Yeah.
new folks.
Did you have your hand up?
No, we had among ourselves, it's kind of weird that we would be grouped with Framingham when Framingham is not even in Worcester County.
Yeah,
You're
no,
part, you're part of Middlesex, this whole area is part of Middlesex County.
yeah.
So
They're
that's,
going by
Yeah.
so you're
That's-
going by what is a designation. So even though you may not feel you belong in that, that's where you've been put.
By the federal government.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why you're an urban center.
But we are in Worcester County, not in Middlesex County.
That's
But
right.
I think, I'm
Let's
not
go
too sure
on
how
to the-
they're, whatever.
On to the
Yeah.
agenda,
Yes, we should
And,
move on.
and then the second
Yes.
thing is, so that meeting on Friday, at the finance committee, how it was brought up about outreach and possibly partnering with Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. So, Walter and I have a meeting Friday with the director of Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services, along with Kevin and Kristen, to go over ways we might be able to collaborate further and different outreach initiatives that we have, that they have, and see where we might be able to collaborate.
Excuse me, Sharon.
Good.
I didn't get that part. You were having a meeting with whom?
Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services.
The Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services meeting with you and Walter
And Kevin and Kristen,
to discuss
how we might be able to collaborate on outreach.
collaboration for
Yeah,
outreach, okay.
yeah.
Is that going to include people like St. Anne's,
Um,
who do a lot of outreach?
it could. What we're focusing on Friday is just our two agencies, just us and Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services for starters. The community partnership that we do involves St. Anne's and a lot of other churches and organizations in town. But this is focusing just on Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services, where they get funding from the town. Kevin and Kristen want to see what, if anything, we might be able to do with town funds to help with our outreach issues. Where they're open evenings and have clinical social workers like Walter that do fee for service. Again, what other opportunities and so on are there for collaboration or helping to meet the needs?
Good.
So we'll see what comes out of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Hopefully they'll be able to work out something,
Yeah.
because Walter needs, we need to expand the program the best we can, so that'd be good. Thank you. The grant program, we're ending the second year. We haven't seen anything yet.
I sent over the draft of, you should have had those two flyers that came through for the dementia-friendly trainings. I scanned them in and sent them.
I don't
An email.
remember that. Anybody else get that?
Did that include the orchard?
Yes.
That was my question, is that, are we endorsing a private group? A private for-profit organization?
I would say we're looking at, again, more as a partnership to
So
do.
does that mean, so it means that we are endorsing?
I don't know if we would say we're endorsing as much as we're working in partnership with Orchard Grove to help put on the trainings and help make the community dementia friendly.
We are, but in a way, as much, they're benefiting from this greatly because they're getting their name out in the community, so.
Well, that's
I
the
guess-
thing
I guess-
that I
I
think
guess
is
what you-
bothering a lot of people.
I think, yes, and I think what you have to consider is, what's the motivation behind what they're doing, and how is that really supporting you, and is there any other group that could be working with you toward the same end? Like, I'm very surprised that UMass or St. Vincent's or some of the other groups like Reliant Medical are not working more with you, because, for example, hospitals have to become dementia friendly by 2021. I know we're gonna be working with our town to become dementia friendly, because we have to do it as part of our responsibility. There's a lot of other initiatives, becoming age friendly, So, you know, the question is, do you want to, are they the ones to do this? Because yes, they may be providing this, but they're gonna get more out of this, I think, than you're gonna get out of it.
And I think that's what's bothering a lot of people, I think that the connection
Right.
between the two, and, you know, and I kind of felt that the day we did the presentation. And I said we had a couple commercials while they were standing up commercializing their products, you know, and I felt a little uncomfortable with that, because we were not there for that purpose. And I think this other purpose is not for that as well. And I think we need to be very careful in how we do that, because it can be, people can take it in a very negative kind of way, and that's not the program that we want to present.
Would it help to talk to other towns that are working? Yeah, I mean, I know you've talked to Lunenburg.
In
and they
Northborough,
actually- In
Auburn.
Northborough. And they, and definitely out in Lunenburg, the way they're working on the whole approach, they have a committee, and, I'm not exactly sure where they're getting their funding from, I've only gone to a few meetings, but they definitely have come up with ways to get grants. And that's how they're approaching it, and working with the police and the town, and community just become that, but they're not using any specific outside entity
Yeah.
to lead the charge, so to speak.
Right.
I mean, we're only thinking of it, and from the town, in where we are, simply because we're part of the town.
Yeah, Zoya?
So we should be looking at the medical centers first
Medical
to see
center,
how we can collaborate with them
what are they
before we
doing?
go into a private organization.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, what are the hospitals, what are these other entities doing? After all, they have to do, you know, I think the question is, what are they doing?
have they
how-
started the training yet?
Just with police, they've done the police officers training, and it was very helpful. They did some role playing, and pointed out that some of the postures a police officer can take when confronting someone who might be lost or confused can appear threatening. You know, just the hands on, you know, how can I help you? Are you lost? You know, approaching. Sometimes when people are, again during the role playing, the officers approach the person together, and just in their training, one stands behind the person while one approaches from the front. But when you're dealing with someone with dementia, that can make them very
Yeah.
correct. So
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
changing their approach, their stance, using, you know, watching their body language, their tone, can make a big difference. So those were the main things that they focused on,
Is
is their
the training
approaches.
gonna be finished by the end of the grant?
No, I think you know, a lot of the stuff will just be ongoing for a lot of the
I'm
different
talking about the
businesses.
funding. The funding ends this year.
Right.
So who's going to pick up that funding to continue the training? I guess that's my question.
Well, and I guess that kind of ties into that partnership, because where it's, you know, their staffing has volunteered to do it, it's been at no cost to us. We're using, you know, the funds to help with the printing of the training
Yeah.
materials
So I
and
guess
so
the
on.
question would be, should
When
you,
did you send out those,
I'm trying to think.
because,
Zoya's checking.
because I
would it
didn't,
be less, more equitable, I hate to use that term, but more equitable if you reached out, let's say, to other assisted livings, other groups that are within Shrewsbury itself as well, just
Right.
to talk about what they're doing, so that instead of it just being focused on just
yeah,
one
thing.
particular entity, it's really working with everybody, because I would imagine, you know, it's interesting, I mean, it's great that they're able to do, you know, a one-on-one type of training, but there are programs that can be done too, and certainly when it comes to your different you know, businesses, et cetera, if they wanna become user-friendly, I don't think there's time for them to have someone come in and spend an afternoon with everybody.
Yeah.
I know even for physicians' offices, they're basically just gonna be looking at, you know, they would probably look at some kind of video.
Yeah.
And
And
actually,
online,
even
yeah.
physicians' offices now are supposed to be doing dementia screening, so.
Yeah.
On
Okay.
3/1/19, that's when the workshop was cancelled, that's
What was
the
that,
notice.
March 1st?
On 1st of March, yeah.
Okay, I'll have to go back and look that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
If for some reason you don't have it, just let me know and I
I think I
can
was
resend it.
between houses at that
Yeah,
time. I s-
And I scanned it in as a PDF, correct, Zoya? Is it a PDF file?
No, this was the notice that you sent about canceling the meeting. And in that you have attached the dementia friendly initiative flyers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look that up when I get out.
And I gave you a hard copy, I
Okay.
think, correct,
Um,
of those flyers.
moving right along to the Memory Lane Cafe. Cliff, do you have any, I did not make the last one, I was out of town, so I.
Yeah, it's been perking along, attendance is growing, it's doing pretty well. One thing that did come up kind of, this, I'm trying to think what it's called, a diversity fair. Essentially Missy Hollenbeck and
Oh, yeah,
the Farmers
that's-
Market are doing that, and I know,
Yeah,
and Missy gave a presentation at another group that I was at, and she said, oh, and the library's gonna be there talking about their memory cafe, and I said, wait a minute, there's 2 memory cafes, and she wasn't aware of that, so,
oh,
but,
yeah,
we need to, and so Mary and I were talking about that at breakfast this morning, and should we be looking to talk to the library people and presenting, here are the memory cafes in Shrewsbury, or should we be talking to Dr. Claremont, who's somehow going to be representing us at this fair, and
Well, we're gonna be-
tie into him, so what's
that's on our agenda, but we can talk about it now, because
Yeah.
we, Dr. Claremont has reserved 2 tables.
Okay,
So one for the Friends and one for the Council on Aging, we're gonna be there as well.
okay.
When is
So
this
if-
diversity fair?
It's April 6th, from 4 to 7, down at the middle school,
It's Sherwood, I think it is.
Sherwood, I'm sorry. I couldn't remember what the name of it was. And it's really, it's gonna be a great program.
Yeah.
Diversity, all kinds, they're having all kinds of tables for different people, they're having dancers and all, I mean, everybody represented. I mean, they had it last year and I didn't really realize, they had it at the SAC Park. And so now they moved up to the school, which is gonna be fun. So we'll talk about, when we get down here, what we're going to do.
But the memory
But-
cafe can link into our table, then
They
probably
can link
would
it
be
to
the
ours
logical-
unless, and we could do it both places. If
Well-
Mary wants to do with the library, or,
could,
then
I
we
mean,
could
I
do it
think-
our own. We can,
I have
A lot of the clientele is the same.
I'm sure they are,
Between
I'm
the
sure
two.
they are,
So
yeah.
I'm just out of curiosity,
Excuse me,
I'm
but
sorry.
we gotta get
Okay.
going here, yeah. But we'll go ahead down and, when we get down here, we'll
Okay.
discuss the whole
Yep.
thing.
Good.
Well, there are two things down here we need to discuss, down under the reports, okay? Yeah, we gotta keep going here.
Well, then I hope when we keep on going, that we really keep on going.
Yes, yes. New initiatives, Shashi? Technology, do we have any
Well,
update?
I've been trying to get a hold of John Covey to see what can be done to bring those computers up to snuff. I haven't heard back from him. He's a hard guy to get a hold of, usually. I may have to camp outside his door. But besides that, I was thinking we need to get the organs out of there. The organ has to be moved out before, the steps are, yes, we've gotta get the old computers brought up to snuff so people can use it. Virus protection is, it's, well, we're not paying for that. It should be under the town, what the new computers. But anyway, the other thing is, I think that even when we get the new computers, we should hold on to these, because we can put them on carts so that, for instance, instructors could use them, instructional videos, you can move them to a different location. People may just want to go in and just type something up to look up something really quickly. Whereas the new computers will be more along the lines of the library. It may require login. Somebody may want to read the newspaper online or mags. That's probably anyway. But in the meantime, I have been continuing to work on the user-friendly, the senior-friendly page. And one of the things I realized is that if you look at your senior center newsletter, if you look at this center page here with a list of activities. They're repeated every month. But if you look at it, you'll say, 9 o'clock Tuesday, bocce. Now, I don't think they're playing bocce right now.
No.
And it's bocce again on another day of the week. So it occurred to me that this list, are we really doing everything on this list? Anybody know? The other thing
I never
is,
checked, yeah.
the other thing is that one of the things I'd like to do on the user-friendly webpage is to have a spreadsheet. I started working on a spreadsheet, identifying the time and the date for each, then having the name of the contact person or the group leader who's going to be running this. And maybe, since it's on the web, since it's on the computer, you can put a lot more detail than what you can do here. You can have a thumbnail sketch of the person who's leading. You might be able to tell us about
The belly.
belly dancing and who
With
the
a picture
leader
of
is and
Gypsy.
what the leader's background is, and a little blurb, one or two, one paragraph would be fine. So that's what I've been working on.
That sounds great. Yeah, that sounds great,
If
Shashi.
anybody wants to help me, you don't have to raise your hand, we can talk. But what needs to be done is we need to go out and find out, A, if these are actually being offered, if they're being offered, who's the leader? Little bit of background about the leader so that somebody who walks in. The other thing is, this is laid out by day of the week, and because that's the intent. But what I'm doing with the spreadsheet is, after I've got everything in, I'm going to put it alphabetical. So if you were going to say a particular one under S, you would try and Scrabble under S. So somebody would search for a particular item that they're interested in, see whom to contact, and so on.
Or
Find out a little bit.
categorize by activity, have that option as well,
Once you're in the
games,
spreadsheet,
exercise.
you can do a lot more
You can
with
do
it.
a lot of things,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, Barbara.
Talking about our newsletter, it is incorrect. The times, some of the times are incorrect, like for Mahjong, it really starts at 12:30, not 1 o'clock. And now that we have Ken, is he gonna be looking at the newsletter and fixing, adjusting? Oh, good.
Yes, yeah.
Because that's something that really is, I've had 2 people show up for Mahjong and they show up a half hour late because that's what it says in our newsletter, and it's very disappointing because we've already started.
I think one of the problems is, once a time is changed, or if a program is deleted, no one is letting the newsletter people know.
That's right, yeah,
I mean, we
yeah.
proofread what we're given,
yeah.
but if nobody tells us, well, this isn't
Right.
happening, or this is the wrong time, I mean, we don't know that.
No,
So
right.
maybe Ken could update the scheduling of the events and what time they really start. Do you think? Because I think that's the disconnect. Somebody's
Right.
not checking.
Well, that's too bad if the times are wrong. I mean, I feel bad about that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
if nobody tells,
I
No,
agree.
it's not,
how
it's
do you
not the
know?
proofreading,
Yeah,
no, it's
no, I
not the
agree.
proofreading problem, it's the
Well,
people
right, I
who
mean-
put it together in the first place, yeah,
Somebody
exactly.
needs to manage the calendar.
yeah, yes.
I spoke to Linda about this a while back, Linda Wagner, and what she does is, she's got a blank form, this part stays the same, and she just updates this portion from the bottom.
So Ken
So
could interrupt.
unless-
Right, but still someone
Yeah,
has to
adjust
let
it.
us know
Exactly.
that,
That's right.
Apparently, only the ones that have the special activities have been in touch with her. So she works upon this as though it was a template, and she fills in the blanks.
right,
And
we
that's
can
why it would
answer
be
the
so
others, but
helpful
if we're
to
not
have
told-
the name of the person who leads each group.
Right.
So that they can be contacted to find out, to verify what's going on.
But, and some of them do, as you know, there's one of the activities on Friday didn't meet, and there's a little notation on Friday, see how it says no class, 3-8?
Yeah.
So the instructor of that class, wanted to make sure it was in the newsletter, that there
Some
was
of
no
them do,
class.
right. But for those that don't, then
Right.
somebody needs to, I said, I think Ken is gonna really be busy around here.
Yes,
I
So
do a
what we
lot of
talk
that when
about-
it says no class on such and such, if I know ahead of time, like the
Yeah,
movies,
that's
second
right.
Friday, okay, so I make sure that it says no class. on that Friday.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
That's
but it's
right.
only because I'm aware of some of these things.
Right, and people who are not aware that just look at it and say, well, this is what it says in the
Yeah.
newsletter kind of thing, so, yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I need to do, giving myself action items here, is once this is all cleaned up, I hope to get our intern back, you know, Noah, and update the town website, you know, that website. So this information, the latest version, should be on the Shrewsbury Town, you know, the COA page. That should have this information, the latest version, so that people at home can say, well, they can look it up and say, this particular activity is canceled for today, or not this week, or whatever it is. That should be the latest and most up-to-date. And he should be able to do it, because he has access to,
Yeah.
That's actually something that Ken has put on his to-do list too, because Natick actually has Civics Plus, that's what their
oh, they
senior
do
center
civic,
use, yeah.
so Ken
So
already
he's
knows
already
how to use
trained.
Civic Plus?
Yep.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so that was one of the things he put on his 100-day list.
Yeah, he should get an account, we talked to Ken, to
IT,
John
yeah,
Covey and get an account.
Yeah,
That gives you editing privileges.
yep.
good, thank
I
you.
got a question. As far as technology goes, there are two other items I need to talk about. One is the message board that you talked about. Is still in the works? Are we giving up on that? Are we getting a message board?
Well,
An
if
electronic message board?
it would be through, if we want to proceed, we would be taking it out of the formula.
We want to proceed.
Yeah, because public buildings, although they paid for all the AV updates that we have, that wasn't included in what they wanted to cover. They just wanted to focus on the main hall.
That
So,
big TV's supposed to be out in the hallway,
but
where it can be used. But that's another point, that's
Uh,
another issue.
One other thing about technology, I sent out a technology development, what is it, a technology plan, outline that I got from Ellen at the library. Did anyone look at it?
Yes, I did, yeah.
I haven't had any feedback, but the main thing is, we really cannot proceed with the technology plan until we know what technology we need. Anybody have any ideas as to what technology improvements we should be working towards? Anybody got any thoughts? I mean, the message board certainly is one of them,
That's,
but.
to me, that's the major one, but, and I don't know how we go about doing that. I thought it was gonna be included in that whole thing down there, and it wasn't. So now we're back to zero, and we've got to start over again. But to me, that's one of the most important things, when somebody walks through that door and they see
Well,
what's going, I mean, this thing, I don't know what it's gonna do in the dining room there.
Well, the problem was that's where they placed your screen instead of giving you, different screens. I mean, a message board is not that size. A message board is not even that big. It's
Yeah.
out in your vestibule when you come in.
That's right, and that's what we had asked for, and we didn't get that. We got it in the dining room, which,
well, that's in lieu of a second projector and a screen. So it has the same capabilities to show, somebody
but
can
who's
plug
gonna
in.
use it? Who's gonna, I mean, has anybody used it since it's been put up?
Just the kitchen has used it to play music and so on, but it'll be able to show movies.
85-inch TV to play music, I mean, you can get Alexa for much
Right.
less than,
But you'll be able to, again, show movies, PowerPoint, if there's a speaker on that side or so on,
but that's
they
so
won't have to
seldom,
be
that's so
on
seldom.
side B.
Yes,
So far we have not used the two sections separately. It has been either the whole section has been used as one, or half the section has been used for movies. So we have the option of using the other section in case we have a program.
But the
The
problem
dining
is,
area.
if you have a program there, if you don't want the tables, you're gonna have to take the tables down and put the chair, Whereas the other side, the tables are automatically taken down after a program is used, so, you have the problem there, and the tables are set up for dining. And they have tablecloths, and they have flowers, and they have all, so it doesn't lend itself to meetings and things, you know. I understand what you're saying, and I think, you know, if we had an extra room for a dining room, it would be great to have two separate meeting rooms. But we don't, and we have a combination room, so, I don't know, let's not get in there, we don't have time today for that discussion. But, I mean, you know, it's something we want the message board, and we're gonna have to find out how to get it done. And if we have to pay for it, we'll pay for it, because we have money, and I think it'd be good use of the gift fund money to put the message board out there. I think it's something it's necessary here if we want to encourage people to come and when they come in to feel welcome and to know what's going on. So,
Just quickly back to the organ, we've been talking about that for so long to get rid of the organ. What's happening with it?
Public Buildings is going to be removing it.
Oh, when?
Right now, they just have to coordinate because it is very heavy, and they prefer to remove it and donate it for parts rather than chopping it up. Because so we actually have a contact from the music department over at the high school, where they get rid of a lot of old equipment that they're helping Public Buildings coordinate where the organ will go to, so it can be used for parts at least.
Oh, good, I'll be glad to finally
Because
have
they don't
that.
want to have to move it twice. They don't want to have to move it out of here, put it somewhere, and then move it again. So,
So
let's
it's gonna
hope
be
they can
done
do
this
it
year?
quickly, yeah.
oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
security issues we had talked about, Stephen, we had a nice presentation, I thought, from Stephen last month. I really appreciated that. It kinda stalled. We haven't met with him. Do you have any suggestions on how we can go about doing that?
Well, I think it depends on. I know you and Shashi had talked about meeting with him.
Do you want us to go ahead and do it?
Yeah, I would think we could do that.
Because,
We need to meet with Stephen primarily to plan out the way forward, because what we need is a security plan for the building. And that security plan includes things like signage, it includes like training the group leaders, how to respond to an emergency. We need the video cameras. All of that has to go into the security plan. But we need to talk to him about that. And see, from his talk to us when he came here, a lot of that material he already has in place. We just have to tailor it. So that's the main reason.
yeah, we had set aside some dates, but they didn't get offered, I guess. And, so we'll have to set, so why don't,
Well, it has to do with Sharon's schedule, so.
I mean, I'm usually here, so whatever works for.
well, we'll work
yeah,
on it, we'll work
figure
on
it
it then. We'll try, before the next meeting, we hope to have some report from Stephen, because I think that should go in the strategic plan, definitely, part of the security and the things that we're looking for, I think that should
Is it
go.
a part of the technology plan? I mean,
Yes.
that's part of technology.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's an
There's
overlap.
definitely overlap, no doubt
Yeah.
about that.
Yes, I think it definitely should, so we need to get
Except-
some information, yeah.
Except that John Covey did that's right, he did for the whole, all the municipal buildings. And he got pricing information already. And it's being, in other words, when we talk of technology, we're talking of this building and what we're gonna do.
Right.
He's talking of all the municipal buildings integrated with the police and having
Yeah.
them able, so that's really not part of our technology plan.
But it's if you're gonna split it, you have a technology plan for the building that works in concert with the town, and then your technology for your interior.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is that they are the drivers for the video system, not us. The video is only like, to use Stephen's words, what's the word he used? When you have after the fact,
Right, it's not proactive, because nobody would be monitoring
Reactive,
it.
yeah.
It would be used to
Right.
see what happened
What
after
happened.
the event
you
occurred.
really, what we're trying to do here is to be aware of the security, see something, what do you say?
See something, say something, yeah.
To get into that mode, and also to have the group leaders know what to do in case of an
The
emergency.
training, and
I mean,
that's,
if
that's
you
all.
look, if you go to the school, all the principal and all the teachers know about lockdowns and shelter in place, all those terms mean something. And they also have, if you remember from that article, they have groups of parents, groups of teachers and different people sitting down and working out scenarios. What would you do if?
Right.
So
So
that's
if there's
that'll all be-
if there's emergency preparedness plans in place, can't you take those to adopt them here?
Well, this is what we're gonna
No
have to
doubt,
do.
that we need to tailor those things. That's
That's
what we need to
that's
talk
gonna
to
be all
Stephen
part,
about.
it's all part of this, right, so we'll get together and see if we, and hopefully next month we'll have a report from
We,
Steve.
we had said that you were gonna meet with Stephen and the Shrewsbury Police Department to
Yes.
discuss the senior.
It fell through,
Oh, it didn't happen, okay.
no, that's why, we'd given some dates, but they never got forwarded or whatever.
Alright.
So, we'll start again.
And again, if we do proceed with pursuing accreditation at some point, that type of plan is one of the things that's required for the accreditation requirements.
Yeah, so, okay, updates. I think we came up with a good idea, Shashi did. Instead of calling it updates, we're gonna call it progress reports. And we're gonna see what progress we have made for each one of these things. So next month, we're gonna have progress reports on the signage.
I know Ken Baldinger did bring the signs to Assabet
That's
to be
been
painted.
3 months ago.
No, he just brought those right before our last meeting. He had brought them over to Assabet.
Not what I understood, but go ahead.
So I had actually talked to him last week to see if he had an update as far as them being installed and whether or not, you know, the fixtures that they're gonna be attached to will be included in their project. So I haven't gotten an update from what he found out from Assabet from last week. So I'll follow up on that too to see how that is
Please do,
progressing.
yeah, and we'll get that, right. The sound system, we can cross that off.
Yeah.
We have the sound system now, which is good, yeah. What I ought to put on there is message board, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Is that
greeters,
understanding?
I don't think we've done anything with greeters.
No, I have put it on Ken's radar as something that we're
Yeah.
working on.
And the building security, which we just discussed, you know. So next month, you're gonna see a progress report. And I think maybe we will date it, when these things happened, and then see how many months it takes to get them accomplished. How about that, huh? Okay, the Friends of the Senior Center, the biggest thing, I guess, are these 2 events that are coming. On the 4th of April, excuse me, the 3rd of April. I'm sitting here looking at it. And you know, I couldn't find the backup information. The woman is coming,
Edie Holtzman.
Edie, to talk about the Holocaust. I mean, I guess she presents, and it's going to be at 3:00 in the afternoon on April 3rd, and it sounds like a fantastic presentation. And then reaching out to the high school as well, so maybe some of it later, so some of the students could come. I think the high school, if they can get some of the students to come, or some of the classes maybe. But it sounds like a fabulous presentation, and that will be in the newsletter, I'm sure.
Yep, so we already have the save the date in our March newsletter.
Yeah.
And as Louise said, it's a one-woman show by playwright Edie Holtzman from New Jersey. She, so basically it's called Yesterday's Nightmares, Tomorrow's Dreams. And it's a one-woman play documenting, it's a historically accurate play about her family's experience with the Holocaust and how it paralleled with Anne Frank's story. And it's intertwined with the Frank's story. So it's a very moving and powerful.
So if you get a chance, everybody come, it's gonna be, I think, a wonderful presentation. And then 3 days later, on the 6th, which is a Saturday, is when we're going to have the
Diversity.
diversity, thank you. My mind's
Yes.
not working today. But that, again, I think is gonna be a wonderful program. As I mentioned, we're gonna have a table there. And if we do the Memory Cafe there, if Mary wants to come or you wanna come, I will be there. Anybody who wants to come and for a minute or two, there are gonna be food trucks outside for dinner. and the different variety of groups that are going to have tables and presentations and activities and entertainment, and, I mean, it's just gonna be a whole 3 hours of I think, a very wonderful presentation, so, I don't know, we have our brochures, I don't know what else we want to put out on the table, so,
We have, Walter kind of has like a go-to kit, for when he's done different outings. So in that box, we have some of the Friends calendars, the Friends brochures, the COA brochures, those little gifts that we gave out at Christmas. We, ordered, 250 of them, so we have the little senior center, dispense bottles of hand sanitizer and the lip balm, the little chain. So we have
okay.
150 of those that can be given away.
well, that's good, yeah.
Our home heating brochures, but yeah, Walter's got a whole box of stuff that
Okay, good
are
then, so,
packed and ready to go.
yeah, and if you think of anything else that you think you might wanna, as I say, I always love a basket of candy, but that's my thing.
Yeah, I
So-
think there's the File of Lifes are in there. There's a whole
The
bunch
file
of
of
stuff.
life, yeah, those are important too,
Yeah.
so we will gather up all that we have, and, I think things we used to put out, or we do put out at the, Spirit of Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
So we will continue that kind of thing, so, so we will, and so drop by and the table, or if you wanna come for the 3 hours, I'll be there, so, be happy to have company, whoever wants to come by, but I think it's gonna be a nice thing, I'm
I
really
think Mary
looking
has
forward
it on
to
her
it.
calendar.
Yeah, and if Mary, I'll talk to Mary
Is
about
that,
it.
is that the Sherwood School?
Pardon?
Which school?
Sherwood.
Sherwood, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Last,
yes, Barbara.
last meeting, we, said that we were gonna have a revised policy and procedure review ready.
I have the booklets to give you,
Oh, good.
when you leave. 'Cause
Yeah.
Ken's been reviewing those and part of that whole, revamping it for the leaders, the instructors and
Right.
so on.
yeah, we're
So
done, yeah,
I'll give you those when you leave to look over.
Oh, good, all right.
Because the way you'll see, it's not really something I could email, because there's different tabs, but you'll see there's a lot that we need to revamp and
well,
change.
we get down to here in a minute, yeah. The Building Oversight Committee, they have not met since our last meeting, so,
Yes.
They met yesterday.
oh, yesterday, okay, cause I
Yes.
didn't get anything, usually Lillian sends me a thing, but she didn't, so
Well, they've done,
maybe she didn't get,
I'll just point out, if anybody saw the cover of the newsletter, the Building Oversight Committee revamped this whole area
It looks
to the left of the
beautiful.
door. So all the health information stuff is all in one place. And in response to what we had in the survey about people wanting to learn more about travel opportunities and so on, the group has cleared that whole counter and instead made the medical stuff all in one place, so that all the travel literature is right on that counter instead of just kind of being shoved in this corner, so it's a lot more visible, and people have been taking advantage and using that. And then last but not least, all those things, different buckets and baskets we had on either side of the window for battery collection, glasses collection. The Building Oversight Committee got a lovely, I don't know what you would call it,
the drawers.
it's a series of bins.
Yeah.
It's very attractive, so it's just very easy to just drop off, whether you're dropping off batteries, the Campbell soup coupons for the schools they're all nicely labeled. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, the Friends gave her the money to buy the thing, so and it really, and the counter looks absolutely beautiful. If you
Yeah.
haven't been to that front counter up there, it looks beautiful, all the junk is off of it. And it really is, it's very, very attractive, so they're doing a super job.
They are.
Yeah,
No.
right, let's see, my mind isn't really working today, but there are a couple of things that were brought up. One, the security
Yeah. Yeah.
was a big thing with cameras and that sort of thing. It was also tossed back and forth, whether all those books that are out there on the bookshelves, they're, some of them are so outdated, or they're dusty, they're
They're
this
more
or that,
decorative
and
at
they're,
this point.
it's getting to be an eyesore, that area. What can be done with, about some,
Dr. Claremont sold a whole set of those in the fall.
Yeah.
Somebody was looking and liked them, and so he bought them, so
well,
I
there's
thought.
still a lot just pushed in over there. And what was the other thing? I forgot.
Well, I'm sure it'll be in the report, Lillian will send you.
Let's see, yeah, I'll probably get it
'Cause
today.
I
Yeah.
wasn't able to stay for the whole meeting, yeah.
Yeah, so, no, I think you're doing a super job. I'm really, really pleased with the Building Oversight Committee and all the things they have addressed that needed to be done around here, you know. We saw Pat and Ken, we did that. Okay, the policy and procedure booklet, that's what you were talking about? Or no, or were you talking about the instructor facilitator?
They're actually one and the same, so if you'd like, I'll just kind of pass them out quickly and walk you through the tabs. They're not fastened, so just be careful that they don't all fall out, and I'll just kind of walk you through what's in each, and what we're figuring we'll be needing to update. So the policy and procedure document, well, first there's kind of like a,
One more.
You have to, you have to.
I do.
you're holding out on
This
clever.
is the one,
So you'll see, the policy and procedure is included in
it's
here.
in here?
Yep.
So they're both included together then? Okay,
So
good.
you'll see, I'll just kind of walk through with you. So we have kind of like a user guide, I guess you would say, for the group facilitator instructor as to what's in each tab, if they're looking for quick reference. Some frequently asked questions they may have as a group leader or facilitator here. And then we go into the policy and procedures, which, again, just keeping in mind, having this be as user-friendly as possible. Is that
That's right,
something we really want to include in the booklet, or just something we have the instructor sign saying, I received a copy and I've read it? Or we need to have it in here? The use and request agreement form. This is ideally just if they need to make a change, like to the time, like we were talking about, because obviously before they start their activity, they should already have one of these on file with who's the contact, who's the backup. So again, just kind of looking at this hasn't been changed in quite some time. In lieu of the new AV system that we have on both sides of the room, do we want to incorporate any of those things or changes in here? The next tab is just our comment form that we've always had. Again, anything do we want to change there? Again, it hasn't been changed in quite some time. Any, again, things maybe we just want people to check things off. Again, anything's up for consideration. Then our incident protocol, and again, I think this in particular will need a lot of work. We have it broken down to what to do in an emergency, if there's some type of incident, but it's not an emergency, if there's, whether it's a behavioral issue or a personality conflict, if somebody hurts themselves or whatever, what does somebody do? Our forms now are all on, we have an electronic version, so this is more just something for somebody to fill in, but then, again, depending on the nature of the issue, if the police are involved or something, it might be more in depth, so we might need to explain that better. The emergency contact card, we'll be doing away with, because now we want to have the My Senior Center scan card application in here, so that we have, a bunch of them to pass out to their group to see, and perhaps instructions on reminding people to scan in and so on. And then, last but not least, information on the Friends and how the Friends can, again, educating the group leaders and facilitators that the Friends are here as part of the Senior Center, and the things that they've done. And as you can see, that's pretty old and outdated, because it lists Louise as the president, so,
Long time ago.
again, do we want to have maybe a pocket for brochures that the leader can pass out Friends brochures to everyone to make sure they're
Oh, we
aware of the
did that
Friends,
too,
maybe
yeah.
want to become members? We now have our COA brochures, should there maybe be a pocket for those in here? Again, this is totally up for grabs, however you folks think we should change, update, and that way as we meet with all the groups. Ken was thinking he would kind of like to maybe have a cover letter as the admin assistant volunteer coordinator, that if you ever have any needs for volunteers in your group or so on, here's my contact information type of thing.
That would be good.
So, again, a whole bunch of different things different directions we could go with it.
Now, are these gonna be handed out? I didn't hear the initial,
The goal would be to have something, this is just one idea of what, because this is what we've done in the past, of what we give the group leaders, instructors and so
Oh,
on. So if,
okay.
like, for example, Gypsy would get that packet,
For
and
the
if,
group leaders.
right,
So it will be in September, when we
that,
start
correct.
the new season.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So these will be ready by then.
So these haven't been updated since we really went in earnest with the My Senior Center stuff, because we didn't know how much we wanted to tell the leaders, and again, the scan card applications or how that would work. So they haven't been updated in about 2 years or so,
Good.
or longer.
Are these for us to take with us?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
feel
okay.
free to mark them up, do whatever.
Okay.
Question?
Yeah.
Do we have a list of people, group leaders or otherwise, who are CPR trained?
No, so that might be something
That'd be
in
something to
their,
put in there.
their use and request form, maybe we ask that, you know, is someone in the group trained or?
I had asked about this earlier, but they said that it is expensive. You have to pay about $50 to $70 to get the CPR training. So, because I wanted a lot more seniors to be trained on CPR,
Yes.
but they said it is on the expensive side.
Very
And Dr.
expensive.
Claremont had said that he would try to see if he could get some people to come in and train, but
Yeah.
I don't think that was followed up.
The health department is gonna be putting on a class, we've had 30 people sign up, for a hands-only CPR class, but it's, strictly just, for instruction, there's no certification or anything like that, but that will be, happening in the next month or two with the health department.
When the facilitators sign up for their class, do you have any kind of information sheet? I mean, do they have CPR training? Do they have all this, do you have any kind of, on the facilitators or presenters themselves?
The, anything that involves physical activity, yes, but as far as like card games and so on, no, we haven't gotten anything like that. Only for like the physical fitness type of things.
I think there should be a formal sign-up for each facilitator, presenter, or leader, whatever you wanna call the person that heads up each activity. And there should be a card file of each one and what they had, their name and what their training is, or if they have any training, or if they don't, or that kind of thing. So you can have an easy access to it and, of course, put it on the computer, but have them fill out something because I think that information would be, maybe they already have CPR training, we don't know. We don't know any of this, we don't know the card players, we don't know who leads the groups, that kind of thing. So we need some kind of formal information that will have all that in, so easy contact.
I almost don't think it should be a requisite for the leader of each group. For instance,
No,
the knitters, do they really have to be someone, I mean, as you get older, for one thing, you might not be strong enough to do it.
Well,
So in that
no, it's
group-
just the idea that if something happens, who in your group, is there anybody in your group that is trained? Not that they have to be trained, but is there anybody there that already has the training that we could call on? I think that's the thing.
Right,
And
well,
if there's nobody in that group, then you have to have somebody else available to go to that group if anything happens.
Well, when you have something, you are right next to the police station, they are your emergency, wouldn't you just have something in place that says, call 911 and get somebody over here right away? Obviously you have to start something in the meantime, but.
Well, that's what I think, is if you have that kind of information, you can, use your judgment on when to call on them. But if there's somebody already in the class or group that knows how to do it, then you
No,
know
it
that.
it doesn't have to be chest compression for everybody. You may not want to do the chest compression, but then at least you can direct the proper way to do a chin lift.
Yes.
Or another person how to do a chest compression
Yes.
if they're able to do it, how to position the patient.
Yeah.
There are a lot of steps in that.
That's right.
Chest compression is not the only thing.
And the staff is all trained in CPR, first aid, and the defibrillator. So the big thing It's just making sure the instructors know the protocol, that who,
And I
if
think-
there's an emergency, who is going to come and notify us in the office.
That's what I was
And
gonna
if that
say.
person's not there, who's gonna be, so that something happens, it's Shashi, go to the office, you know, tell them
Yeah.
there's an emergency. You know, what is your go-to gonna be, who's gonna do what, so you're not, if something happens, everybody's not there going,
That's
oh
right.
no, you know, what do we do?
And that's what, and you need that information, and it's got to be consistent. It's got to be the same information for everybody. That's the
That-
thing.
that
Not
falls
for this
into
one and that
emergency
one. Everything,
preparedness.
it's got to be
Correct, yeah.
the same thing for everybody
Right.
that's here. It's important to be consistent in all of our things, and I think sometimes that falls by the wayside. That, you know, this one knows it, but this one doesn't know it, and we've got to make sure that everybody is on the
Right.
same page, as we say, you know, to make it really work well.
And
So-
we obviously, a lot of this is trial and error or learning, not everything neatly fits. We had, in fact, one of our last 911 calls was somebody fell down and hit their head in between the craft room inside B. So they weren't in any particular class, but both the instructors saw what happened. So the person in the craft room saw what happened, the person inside B saw what happened, and they both came running down and they both stopped their activities. So but then they kept their people in their room so that the hallway wasn't being crowded while we got emergency personnel in there. So they both did, I think, exactly the right
Appropriate
thing.
things, that's right.
But there's always going to be kind of these outlier situations where, oh, it wasn't somebody that was in our class, but they were right outside the door and we saw an emergency, but they reacted appropriately. So kind of covering, you know, what if something happens and you're in the bathroom? What do
Yeah.
you do? You know, so kind of just running through those scenarios of,
And
like you
that's
said,
what we really
emergency
need to do.
preparedness.
That goes along with the security. I mean, it's
Yeah.
personal security as well as building security too.
Right.
It's a whole, and I think we might want to include this in our strategic plan too. We're talking about personal security as well as building security too. So I think it's all combined, and I think we need to include all those different parts of it. you
Yeah.
know. So, okay, where did I put the agenda? Well, I think we're done.
Looks like we've
Yeah.
hit the witching hour.
Anybody
we've
else?
hit the witching
Shashi? Do you
Is the
have a?
plan for us to look through this and come back at the next meeting with suggestions? Or is this
Yeah.
being updated now?
No, I definitely would like everybody's feedback.
Next month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, feel free to mark it up, you know, highlight it, take things out, put things in,
Okay.
and we'll see what we come up
This
with.
is all one, yeah, so, okay,
Sharon,
yes,
there is a senior center policies and procedures that you put out earlier this year, right? That is part of this document?
Yep, that's one of the tabs in there.
Is there
Yeah, that's the
anything
one I
else from
had,
the
yeah.
oversight
Right.
committee?
I wasn't here
That's-
yet.
Computer.
Oh,
that's
Okay, good.
number
I had a
I think it might be tab
tax map
3 or 4.
appointment.
3, that's number 3. No, 2, I'm sorry, it's number 2,
I was gonna say. Oh, yes, indeed,
yeah. The one that we had before, the one we got in December,
right.
the separate sheet, that's number 2 in here, so it's included in the book. I
The
have-
the
I
one
have
you
the
have
separate one.
might be, we may have started, if I remember correctly, I think I may have highlighted some things that you might wanna change.
Yeah, I have,
Yeah,
this
so-
one, the one we got in December has some highlights, so.
of things we know right from the get-go that need to be updated.
Yeah, but this is the same thing in here, so we'll have to transfer that information into the
Yeah,
other
you could
one.
take out the old one and put in the latest with the things,
Yeah.
just so you're not starting from scratch.
Yeah, so I'll stick it right in number 2 then, so I don't lose it, you know. Anything else to come before the board? I have motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.